Cleaning and inspection of your HS2 Carburettor, commonly found on Morris Miners, and this is an HS2 that we're looking at. So as my sight losses got worse and worse and worse, I have stopped working on finer detailed work on cars, especially on the HS2 Carburettor. The reason for that is the last time I pulled a dash pot off, I completely kinked the needle jet inside when I replaced it. So I'm no longer doing that. So I'm down to holding the carb while Amber cleans it.
So here's an offer you can't refuse. You hold it for me. Ooh. So before I do this, a couple of things to say. First of all, dealing with petrol, there comes risk with that. Just be aware of that risk. Second of all, if you're doing this because there are symptoms of bad running, statistically, it's more likely that the issue will be with the ignition system than with the fuel system. And thirdly, that when you do this, particularly when you get to the needle, you can start with a small problem and have a bigger problem. So just take your time and be aware of that, and just particularly take particular attention to the needle when you put it back. So this is the basics. If you want to see videos on much more detail, then there are more detailed videos online, loads of those. I'm just going to go through the basics that most of us would cover. This is off the car. You probably would do this on the car, and this is what I would generally do on the car. So first of all, we're going to take out the plunger from the damper. So I'm going to unscrew that there. And you're going to put that somewhere clean. And next I'm going to unscrew these two flat bladed screws here, which hold the dash pot down onto the carb. They often have washers on, but these don't have washers on. There we go. So I've taken that one out and put it somewhere. Okay, I'm going to dismantle it in bits. So let's take the top off. So first of all, we'll take the dash pot off. Now, as you turn that upside down, you can then clean the inside of this. So we'll do that in a second. Secondly, you've then got the spring. So let's just talk about the spring for a moment. So the springs for an HS2 are 4.5 ounce load springs, and new ones, and I'll show you a new one, are red on the end like that. You can see actually that this worn one and this new one are fairly similar length, but just to show you a worn one, this is a really worn one, there you go, you can see the difference there. So if you're replacing your spring, you're looking for one that's red on the bottom. If you're replacing it and your spring has a tapered edge, the tapered edge goes at the bottom and not at the top, so it goes on the bottom of the rod here. So I'm now going to remove the piston. So you've got the piston rod here, and this is the piston here, and then you've got the needle. Now, as I turn this, this is full of oil, this one isn't, but yours would be. So you would then need a pot, and then as you turn it, you can tip the oil into the pot there. So I'm now going to turn that upside down and just show you. This is the needle here, and actually this one is worn. Can you see? It's got no tip at all. Look at that. So there's a screw, and this is the screw here. It's flat bladed. You need quite a small screwdriver for that, and that's how you would remove that needle. If you're replacing the needle, it needs to go right up to the shoulder. If you can see that there, it needs to be flush with the bottom of the piston there. So there's also this groove alongside here, and this groove fits into the body so that you can just tip it that way slightly so you can see where it fits exactly on there. And then what you can see inside there is the jet at the bottom. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give that a little bit of a clean. Now, if you looked in the manuals, they would all say use petrol on a clean rag. I've got a very clean cloth here, lint free, no abrasives, but what I'm going to do is use a little bit of carb cleaner onto that. So I'm just going to put some carb cleaner. Sorry, sprayed you there, look. Give that a bit of a clean. Oh, I like the smell of this, you know. Is that a good thing?
No, it's not a good thing. Mind the needle.
I will. If you drop this, you've had it, because you'll probably damage the needle in the process. So just be aware of that. I'm going to give that a good old clean. And then I'm also very gently going to put that down there. I'm also going to clean the inside of the damper as well. Now, if you were to look in the manual, it would say that you should oil this with a light oil, and you can do that. You need a little tiny bit of oil on the piston rod here. Carb cleaner does have oil in it, doesn't it?
It leaves a residue of oil. I'd probably lightly dust it with a thin machine oil or something like 3-in-1.
Yeah.
I only need a light dusting with it.
While I'm here, I'm just going to squirt inside there as well.
I'm getting covered in it.
I know. There you go. Special treat, look. Give that a little bit of a clean as well. Now, you've probably heard of something, you might not have done, called centering the jet. Now, if you take apart the jet underneath the carburettor, you would need to center it to make sure that the needle and the jet are lined up. We're not taking apart the jet, so we're expecting that this is going to sit correctly.
Looks like we need a new jet now.
So we've got the groove.
That's a new needle.
On that side, yeah, we do need a new needle. You've got the groove on that side there. So I'm going to place that in there, and this is where you can go wrong.
That's where I went wrong.
That's where you went wrong,
It
wasn't
is,
it?
yeah.
And very gently, that is then going to sit in there like that. You've then got your spring.
Red side down.
Red side down or tapered side down, depending on which way you look at it. So I'm going to place that over the top. Now you can then at this point fill, you don't want to fill it, but you can put your oil in here at this point. You don't want it at the top, you want it part of the way down. If you put it at the top, it's just going to squirt back out again. And then lastly, you've then got the inside of the damper chamber, which is going to go over the top of the rod and in between the rod and the spring. Like that.
Got it.
You got it there?
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to show you one other thing that is worth checking. I'm going to take these two out together. So these two pieces should run smoothly. There shouldn't be any resistance between them. They shouldn't touch. There should be a tiny bit between them. So as you turn them, and you can turn them horizontally, you might feel grit or something like that. That would suggest that you need to clean it. So that's another thing that you can do, is just check that. I'll put these bits back now.
Beautiful.
There we go. Nice and gently like that. So then I'm going to put the two screws in here. If you've got washers, obviously put them back as well. We've also done a video, something called the 99p tune-up, and that is worth seeing. A quick and easy way, without taking apart your carb, of getting rid of bits and pieces and blowing it through. Worth having a look. I'm just going to show you one other thing, which is this here, the throttle spindle here. So the throttle spindle here, it's worth checking for wear. So if we turn it to its side, a bit difficult there, isn't it, like that?
Yeah,
if it's worn, this one is a bit worn actually. If it's worn, you'll have a lot of movement on there. And what it'll mean is that it doesn't seal correctly.
There's a little bit of movement.
There's a little bit of movement on there. Yeah, it is. Let me see if I can find one here that's not as worn. Yeah, there you go. There's one that's hard. If I move that, there's no movement in it at all. Hardly any. In comparison to that one, which has got quite a lot of wear. There you go. To take this apart, there's two very small flat-bladed screws there. Look at you. Put the
I'll put the plunger back
in. There's two tiny screws there. You'd undo those, and then that will allow you to take the shaft out and replace it. And you can get this as a little kit to replace. And that is it. Have a go. Take your time, and you'll be fine.
You could mention the different types of spring you could get if you were keen.
I could do, yeah, I could do. Yeah, so Morris ones are red, but you can get a lighter spring, which is blue, which I think is 2.5 ounces load.
Found on a midget.
Yeah, that's right. The other colours you get, and it determines how strong they are, I think are yellow and then green, but you tend not to see those, obviously, in Morris Minors. A stronger spring will
give you a richer mixture.
It will give you a richer mixture. It'll make a harder push against the piston.
Yeah.
Whereas a weaker spring is going to make more of a springy response. So yeah.
That's more rapid, isn't it?
Yes, it's a much more rapid response, which is what you get when you get a worn spring, really. It pushes up really quickly. Generally, you'd use a red one. Using a different spring is a bit like using a different oil.
Or a different needle. Changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, all those things change everything, really. So you do see people use different things. But if you were looking for the standard, it would be a red spring.
4.5 ounce.
And if you're looking to see what needle you've got, it's written on the shank of the needle. So you'd unscrew it and you'll be able to see what needle you've got inside.
Yeah.
Again, people tend not to change those, but you can do if you wanted to.
So if you're really keen on experimenting with different performances on your carb.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I keep it stock.
Yeah. And there you go.